Hi all, this is Rat, and welcome to episode 8, 2017 of Rats in the Kitchen. Today's episode, as you saw at the beginning, starts at Kerouac Park, and we're just going to be grabbing a few things from the canal down there. This is the director's commentary of this episode. If you're looking for the regular episode, it does not exist. So right now we have my gloves, we have my magnet and grappling hook with rope, and we also have an innocent bystander, casual observer. This is the normal part there where I try to untangle the rope. Got it mostly done. We're going to make a few throws down towards this lounge chair that I noticed a few days ago and decided to come back for. Had a decent first toss, give or take the whole missing it thing. Sometimes it takes a few good tosses to finally grab the item, even when you can see it perfectly. Sometimes you might grab it by the wrong part and then the hook just slides right off. So I've got it, I'm bringing it up a bit. A lot of times what you want to do is if you see water coming out of the item, just let it sit there and drain for a minute. No point in bringing up the extra weight. Now here I was able to get the item out, however I'm having a little bit of trouble getting it over this pipe. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it over to the side. This gives me a couple options. One, I can find a part of the pipe that doesn't have the covering. Or two, it might help me just get the hook in a better position. Sometimes it's the hook itself that's in the way. For those of you normally expecting to see magnet fishing or banana slicing, banana slicing thing was previous years. The magnet slicing is, take that back. The magnet fishing is the bulk of what we've done this year. Decided to put that on hold for this episode. Getting a bunch of stuff out of the canals, and unfortunately, as we covered a couple episodes ago, the canals themselves are pretty magnetic. With things like bridges and railings. So I got that out. It took, I think, 7 or 8 takes to get the chair to land exactly like that, but it was worth it. And there was another chair down there that I'm looking for now. Think I found it. Going back, putting the towel back in the bag and keeping everything with me. Sometimes I'll use the magnet as an anchor. The magnet's just on the other end of the same rope. Eventually I hope to be able to get a second rope. And boom, there's the second chair. Again, we're going to bring that up just a little bit, let it drain. Let it drain some more. And drop it right back in the water. That's a strategy. I'm not sure what I was thinking with that particular strategy. This time I overtossed a little bit and latched on to discovered a shopping cart. Shopping carts are not a native species to the canals. Then again, the canals themselves aren't really that native. But I was able to get the shopping cart. It was not going to have any drainage issues. If I remember correctly, this is a difficult part. That's me getting hit in the face. Being brutally assaulted by a shopping cart. As you can see there on the nose, it made my eyes disappear. Ah! I gotta work on the scream sound effects. We'll do that later. So I got the shopping cart out. I should have held that shot a little bit longer, got a better angle, so I wouldn't have to have spliced in the nose shot later. By the way, this episode brought to you by Crow Feeder. Check them out on Bandcamp. So we have the shopping cart, and see, the wheels just both give out right there. I always get the worst shopping cart. So we're going to go back and try to get that other chair. Somebody asked, how do chairs end up in the canal? How do these things end up in the canals? Why don't people just put them on free cycle? My theory is that there was some sort of breakup involved. Another theory is that there was a hotel upstream a bit, not too far. That hotel is currently dorm rooms for UMass Lowell. So I think at some point back when there were far more businessmen there, those chairs ended up in the canals, and they had been there for a few years now, which is how they were able to get this nice green color you see on them. Somebody else brought up, Tracy I believe, why do we take these things out of there? Do the fish ever use them as a habitat like they do when you sink a battleship out in the ocean? Which gives an interesting twist to the game Battleship, but it doesn't really work here. Unfortunately, the items, these large pieces of debris, kind of just get in the way of aquatic life and water flow and tourism. So we like to try to remove them from the water when we can. Currently the water canal, the water level in the canal rather, is a bit lower than it would normally be. So that makes it easier to see the things like these chairs and a whole bunch of bikes. A few days before this, I removed with about a dozen bikes with my friends at the Lowell canal water cleaners. And it was good. That was when I first started using the grapple hook. It was those folks who provided me with the grapple hook, which I've been able to put to good use since. Like I said, about a dozen bikes then, and a couple of razor scooters. About another dozen bikes or so since then as well. So again, we're just trying to find a better spot, a better lifting spot for the item. The music you heard at the beginning of the episode, a lot of these episodes, they have noise art taken in part from the episode. The noise art at the beginning, and you'll hear it again at the end of the episode, was just variations in speed of that shopping cart hitting me in the face. I like to make the most of things like that. Here's me trying to get the hook out, despite the fact that the chair was against the guardrail. Try to relieve the pressure, getting the chair off the guardrail, then removing the hook. Putting everything in a pile makes it easier for the folks who pick it up to just grab everything at once, put it in the truck, only make one stop. They appreciate that. So those of you who saw the pictures in the various other groups, this is when that happened, obviously. Gloves, I've gotten better at wearing gloves on a regular basis. Very important for a variety of reasons, such as making sure you don't get cut, making sure your hands stay clean, trying not to get too much rust on them, avoiding sharp edges. I'm not sure if I said rope burn or not, but rope burn also a big issue. And I think I could barely see that bike before I tossed down there. I think I saw like a tire. A lot of times you'll just see a part of a bike, and you kind of assume there's a whole bike down there. Most of these bikes, they're the cheap department store type bikes, the ones where if somebody were to buy a $20 log for it, that would be coming close to doubling the price of the bike, so therefore they're hesitant to buy them. And then someone else will just grab it, ride it for a little while, throw it in the canal. And then by the time I find it, it's been in there a while, to the point where the spokes have rusted through. And you'll pull up just the tire trapped on the axle. Couple different techniques you can use for pulling up the rope. You can just do hand over hand if you want. You can use more back work. You can use your legs and just pull the rope backwards like I was doing there for a second. And then once you get up high enough, you kind of want to give yourself a better angle sometimes. So it's got to be more in the arms, but there's ways to prevent your arms from wearing out. And it dropped. Can't remember if that was intentional or not. I think sometimes there's a situation where like a pedal will get in the way and there's just pretty difficult to maneuver it around. Sometimes I'll drop it just so it's easier to drag downstream or upstream to a better location. Also important when you're bringing up the item, know where your rope is. Try not to trip over it. I've gotten better at that. If you've seen some of the older episodes, you know I haven't always been good at that. You end up tripping in your rope when you're throwing it. You don't end up falling over anything. You just the magnet or the hook doesn't go out that far anymore when it's all wrapped around your leg. But here we are. We got this bike out. Be careful when you're pulling things out. If you do have innocent bystanders and or fans, people around of any sort, try not to hit them with the item you're pulling out or the hook when you're throwing it in. And there's the good still shot. So that's another episode. I appreciate you watching. There is a Facebook page for this stuff.